Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Mercenary Tier 10 Premium Warhammer 40k Heavy Tank, the Rogal Dorn. Now if you do like the video, as always don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Rogal Dorn. They've sprung it on us on a Thursday, which is a random day for it, and the big thing to say for this tank is if you want it because it's a Warhammer collaboration tank and you love the Warhammer stuff, wait for the 50% discount, because yes, there is an earn challenge, a community earn challenge, like the GUP one was. That means that you will be able to earn a 50% discount on this tank, which will knock it down from 22,000 gold to 11,000 gold. So absolutely wait for the 50% discount if you do want to pick this tank up. That is the big disclaimer, okay? But yes, we've got the Rogal Dorn. And with that up, by the way, you can also either earn a Teeth Breaker or a Ignis Pagatio, which I will also make a video on for tomorrow, probably. So you'll get the choice between the two. It's just, yeah, wait for the community op to be completed by the community, and you'll be able to get 50% discount for this tank. So yeah, the Rogal Dorn. It has a gimmick in the fact that you've got this Rogal Dorn autocannon, as it's called, with a big 700 alpha cannon. This combination is deadly. If you catch out something that's medium to light armoured, you will absolutely shred them, because you hit them with 700 alpha, and then you sort of drop a 240 alpha clip. Well, I say 240 alpha clip. It's a 4-shot 240 alpha clip. You drop that clip into someone, and then you smash them again with the 700 alpha, and you tend to take a lot of their hit points very, very quickly. And this is the best combo for me, personally, having played it quite a bit now. I feel like this is the best combo in terms of making the damage. But you also have a secondary set of guns, which is a double barrel. If we go in here, if you want to change it, you go to the turret options, you change the turret options, and you get this double barrel, which is actually the Lehman Russ gun, but double barrel version of the Lehman Russ gun for this Rogal Dorn. So what's the tank like? Well, the tank is pretty deadly with the other package in terms of its guns. The armour on it is really good against standard, although this lower plate here is pennable by standard, but it can be troll if people do angle with it. But against premium rounds, just like the Lehman Russ, it does tend to start to get shredded. So if people do aim for this lower plate section here, they've got to aim for the higher section, because obviously the lower down it goes, the more likely you're going to get the ricochets and stuff like that. And yeah, that does tend to get shredded by tier 10s and tier 9s. I will say rip tier 8s, because I'm not sure they'll be able to deal with this thing frontally in terms of the lower plate and even the side sponsons, because these side sponsons are flat 250. So premium rounds, again, will go through these. But it has got big cupolas on top, which are 150mm thick, which you can go straight through. So they're also something to aim for. But there is little bits of spaced armour that can catch shots that can make that awkward. But on the whole, it's a pretty decent tank. It is a very, very slow tank, but the damage output when it does get stuck into the brawl is quite tremendous in terms of the other gun. The double barrel gun is fairly well balanced, but I don't think you're going to use it that much unless you like the double barrel, because this option is really good. But without further ado, let's get into the statistics of the Rogal Dorn. So as you can see, it's got a 30km/h top speed with a 12km/h reverse speed, 800 horsepower, with 8.9 horsepower per ton ratio, which means that it doesn't really hit this 30km/h top speed. It is a very slow tank, but it is a super heavy. It plays fairly similarly to an E100 in a way, but probably does what the E100 does, but better, because of the damage output of the two guns and the fact that the armour isn't quite as hard, or isn't quite as easy to overcome like the E100. Like, you know, people fire premium and go straight through the turret front of the E100. It's quite difficult to make that not a problem. With the Rogal Dorn, you're more likely to, if you cover the lower plate, be able to bounce quite a lot of shots as long as they don't hit your cupolas. But yeah, it is a very, very slow tank, so being the reality that you aren't going to get places very, very quick at all. You got 15% internal fire chance, which is in the middle of the fire chances. It means that you are so chances of getting set on fire. I've not been set on fire in it yet in the 10 or 15 games I've played in it so far, but it is in the middle of that. If you get shot in the back end and your engine gets damaged, you know, you probably could get set on fire. You got 2.8k hit points, which again is very, very super heavy-ish. You've got 18 degrees a second hull rotation speed, which is atrocious. It's very ghastly. It is not good hull rotation speed at all. It turns very, very slowly. You want to help that out as much as you humanly can do, because otherwise it's horrible. in terms of its mobility. To be honest, this tank is pretty awful in terms of its mobility. You've got 2.3 on soft, 1.3 on medium, and 1.1 on firm, which is pretty okay for a heavy tank. It doesn't hold it back too much, but to be honest, it's just slow anyway, because it's not got the engine power to even hit its top speed. You've got no camo because you're as big as a house. You're about as tall as a Type 5 Heavy, maybe a little bit smaller. You've got 400 meters of view range, which is damn solid. You will be able to spot for yourself really well in this tank. And then you've got 18 degrees a second turret rotation speed, which means you've got the same as your hull rotation speed. So bear that in mind, that if you trying to turn your tank on target, a lot of the time the turret won't keep up with the tracks if you're trying to keep the gun on target to your right and you're turning the tracks to the left. So you want to try and help this turret rotation speed out as much as possible, especially if you're helping out this track traverse as much as possible as well. So yeah, bear that in mind. You've got 0.65 meters of accuracy during rotation, paired with 1.94 accuracy during movement. That means that this gun is actually pretty good. These two statistics are your bloom, so how big the aim circle gets, they are the dispersion values for that. And as a pair with the crew skills and stuff, you can get this down quite low, which means that you don't actually realistically have to run the gun stabilizer on this tank. You can focus on other stuff instead, because the gun handling isn't that bad. But if the gun handling does annoy you, naturally you could run the gun stabilizer. You've got 7 degrees of gun depression, which is a bit of a pain for this tank sometimes on some ridge lines. That is because you are such a tall tank. That means on some ridge lines, 7 degrees of gun depression can be very, very awkward. So you've got to bear in mind that you've got to be careful of the bumps, be careful of the ridge lines, because you will have to overexpose yourself quite a lot to be able to get shots at people, because it takes quite a lot to get the gun down because it is so tall. 7 degrees is a little bit awkward. But it's not bad by any stretch, okay? You've got 19.4 second reload with a 2.1k base DPM, which looks bad on paper, but paired with this autocannon, as it's called, we don't know what the calibers of the guns are, by the way, because they just haven't told us. Yeah, paired with this autocannon, as a pair, it's pretty damn deadly, because you just push out the damage so quickly that people sometimes can't react, especially if they've got no armor. Say you come against a Leopard or a Progetto 65, like you might see in one of the replays, or an AMX-30B. You know, those types of tanks that have no real armor or no real armor to some armor, you will shred them. And add to that this 240 Alpha that you get on this autocannon is actually pretty good for tracking things as well. If you get things sideways on, you will really do some significant damage to people very, very quickly before they've blinked. Once you've fired this autocannon, though, and then you stick on this reload, it can start to turn to a bit of a slog, but you've just got the Alpha to scare people, and then you can start slapping with this gun. It's really, really scary how quickly the damage can be pumped out with this combination. Like I say, I do think this is the best combo on the tank, as opposed to using the double barrel as well. So, anyway, just getting sidetracked, it's got a 0.36 accuracy, which is actually really good for this gun as well. You get that down to a really good level. It's not the derpiest gun in the universe, especially for the Alpha. You'd expect it to be derpier than it is. You've got a 3.1 second aim time, which is slow, but because the gun bloom isn't that bad, you don't really notice it that much. Although, naturally, you do feel it a little bit trying to wait for it to fully aim in. But the accuracy is so that sometimes you don't feel how bad that accuracy actually is. So you got 245 penetration on the standard AP rounds, 332 penetration on the premium APCR rounds, and 85 penetration on the standard HE. You got premium APCR. There we go. 332 penetration on that premium APCR is phenomenal, and you'll probably find that a lot of these Rogal Dorns are just going to spam prem, especially on the double barrel, which means that that is the reality of this, because that penetration is just so good. But 245 isn't too bad in of itself. You've got 700 Alpha on the standard rounds, 890 on the HE, so 700 hits hard. It hits very hard. This is why I say it's very much like an E100 in a way, but you've got actually an effective secondary weapon, and it just slaps out the damage pretty quickly. You've got 945 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP rounds, 1015 on the premium APCR, and 820 on the HE. So the shell velocity is actually pretty decent as well on these rounds. You've got 36 second reload on the autocannon for a 4-shot autoloader. which has a 3-second intra-clip reload for 240 damage, which has 182 penetration, which means, like I say, against heavily armoured tanks, you're going to do nothing with this autocannon, but against the mid to low armour tanks, you are going to actually be able to use this autocannon quite effectively, which is nice. There's a lot of lower plates that you can go through with 182, which is solid. You got 0.37 accuracy on that gun as well, which is not the best, but you do only have a 2.2 second aim time, which means it does aim in pretty quickly. As it is a tier 10 premium, you basically get no bonuses, so bear that in mind as well if you are going to spend 11,000 gold on this tank, that, yeah, it doesn't get any bonuses with it. So that's the what I feel is the best combo for the tank. You also get the double barrel, which does get the double barrel mechanic, so you can fire both guns at the same time. And here we go. So it's got both the statistics on both guns are exactly the same, naturally, just like any other double barrel. But you've got a 16-second reload on this double barrel with 1875 DPM. Now, that's the same on the other gun as well. So, naturally, this one reloads first, then that one reloads. And then this one will still be reloading after you've fired that one. That's just the way that double barrel goes. You'll see that in the replays. You'll see what I'm talking about. It means that you can put the damage in a burst quite quickly. But once you've got past the fact that you fired this one, then fired that one, and then you're reloading this one again, its reload is pretty slow, and you realise that it does struggle to start putting out the damage with this double barrel gun as quickly as the other gun can actually slap it out. You've got 0.36 accuracy, the same as the other gun. Accuracy during movement and rotation is the same. You've got 10 degrees of gun depression, though, with the double barrel, so that's a different benefit to using the double barrel as opposed to the other turret. So this one does get 10 degrees of gun depression, which is a little bit more flexible on ridge lines and stuff like that. So bear in mind, if you want to fight, if you feel like the gun depression on the other package is too limiting, you can just use the double barrel and have 10 degrees of gun depression, and you will get the ability to use the double barrel mechanic. You'll have a 3-second aim time, which again isn't the worst because the bloom isn't that bad, and you'll have 10 degrees of gun depression. You can hit for 500. You've got 232 penetration on this double barrel with 304 premium AP pen or APCR penetration as well. Which, again, this is why the standard pen, just like the Lehman Russ gun, is very, very low, which means a lot of these tanks will just spam this 304 penetration APCR rounds. The shell velocity is 830 meters a second on the standard AP, and 918 meters a second on the premium APCR as well, which is a little bit slower than the other gun. So, yeah, that's the double barrel mechanic, that's the double barrel gun. So what do I run in terms of equipment on this tank? Well, I run the advanced loader, the traction system, and optics. I run the optics for the ability to have better view range, but you could quite happily run vents to make everything about the tank better, make the aim time better, accuracy better, reloads better, and you'll still have pretty good view range anyway. I just like to overkill my view range, sorry, that's me personally, right? The traction system, because it's not the top speed. I want the track traverse. The track traverse is god-awful. I want to help that out as much as I humanly can do, because it's dreadful. Okay, so that's why we run the traction system and the advanced loader, because we want to make the DPM 10% better as always. And then in terms of equipment, or sorry, in terms of a commander, I've stuck it in the Lehman Russ. Let's get him in here. Volosad Thassius, who does have his own voiceover. You get the Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanic, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Rapid Aim, and Clutch Braking. Which, yeah, we run Clutch Braking because the track traverse is dreadful. Again, I want to make the track traverse better if I can. The turret traverse is also slow, so I want to make the turret traverse better with the Rapid Aim. Run and Gun and Steady Aim to make the gun better in terms of its on-the-move dispersions and general dispersions with the Steady Aim. And you just want to help that out with those two. But you don't really need Snapshot because, like I say, it is actually already pretty good on rotation and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's why I run only those two gun perks and these two to help the general feel of the tank. Track Mechanic, because you are a brawling heavy tank, you tend to get your tracks blown off, especially when people shoot the tracks, or the tracks are big and easy to hit, essentially, and people will shoot them and blow them off. And then these perks are what you're always going to run on every single tank in the game. So let's have a look at the modules of the tank for people so that people can see where the ammo racks are. There's the ammo racks on the tank. If you want to damage the ammo racks, that's where you shoot, in that middle section there, just under the turret. The engine block is there in the back, as you can see, and the lower section of the hull. And that's where the crew are too. And then the armor viewer, this is the armor, and you're like, whoa! As you can see, it's got 300mm of armor on this upper plate, so this upper plate is very, very good, and it's very well angled, so that will bounce. But you get to the lower plate, it's got 180mm of thickness, which, yeah, is only 180mm, so you want to shoot the 180mm, like I say, as high as possible. If you shoot it as high as possible, it reduces the angle on it, which reduces the chance of you ricocheting. The lower down you shoot this lower plate, the more chance you are going to ricochet, especially when it starts to angle. So that's my tip for you, is fire right here as high as you can on this lower plate. Also, like you can see with the side sponsons, they are a flat 250. So if you come against a Rogal Dorn and it's like that, and you're firing premium with over, like, you know, 290, 300 pen, shoot for these side sponsons and you'll probably pen it there as well. And you can see on top, if you want to take these things out and you are facing it, which is why I'm showing you this cupola on top is 150mm. You want to shoot this cupola on top. That one is a harder hit and less likely to pen, so shoot the one on the left, kind of like a Super Pershing, right? Shoot the one on the left. I feel like this tank is going to be very good with its armor against people that has no idea what to do against it, but as soon as people know what to do against it, this armor will start to get shredded by people shooting the cupola and shooting premium at the side sponsons and, you know, hitting the upper section of the lower plate. So now we've got it fully equipped with everything on the tank. Let's have a quick look at the statistics. I'm sorry this section is very, very long, but that's because there's two guns to talk about. There's so much to talk about with this tank. So yes, we've now got the 33km/h top speed and a 13.2km/h reverse speed. Again, you don't hit this unless you go downhill. You've got 21.43 degrees a second hull rotation speed, which is a lot quicker. Your ground resistances have got a little bit better. You've got 489 meters of view range with this build, which is pretty decent. You've got 20.84 degrees a second turret rotation now, which is still slower than your hull rotation, so bear that in mind. Your accuracy during rotation has got a little bit better at 0.63. Your accuracy during movement is at 1.62 now, and your accuracy at 100 meters is 0.31. Your reload, has got down to 12.129 on this double barrel as well, with your aim time going to 2.88. So you got 2.4k DPM on both guns here as well now. So yeah, that's your reload, and you're probably knocking it down to about just under 12 seconds when you boost with food. And then in terms of that on the other one, so let's have a quick look here. As you can see, the reload on this 700 alpha gun has gone down to 14.9. You're knocking it down to about 14 if you boost with food, which is 2.8k DPM, which is scary. It's fantastic, really, for 700 alpha, if we're honest. That is ridiculously good. It's probably a little bit too good for this kind of gun. And you can see your aim time, is now down at 2.97. As for the accuracy and aim time, and accuracy during rotation, movement, and the actual base accuracy, it's the same as the other gun. And for this gun, you got the autoloader down to 27.65 second reload, with 0.32 accuracy now, 2.11 aim time, which, yeah, is not very good at all, but like I say, in conjunction with the 2.8k DPM that this gun is pumping out, oh boy, it's pretty damn deadly. So yeah, that's the statistics of the Rogal Dorn. That is the equipment that I run, the setup that I'd run is definitely this turret myself here. And we didn't actually have food when I showed you those statistics, so it's actually 2.9k, nearly 3k DPM with the 700 alpha gun. Oh boy, yeah, that's ridiculous, really. It really is. I think that's way too strong compared, you know, with the autoloader alongside it. If it was that by itself, maybe not, because it's really slow and that's the whole point. But the autoloader alongside it is a little bit overkill for this package. And I really do feel like it is the strongest way to play this tank, is this package here, not that one. If you do want to switch, like I say, go to turrets and switch there, and you'll be able to switch between the two. But yeah, that's the Rogal Dorn. That's everything that I run on this vehicle, and that is the statistics of the tank. So what I'm going to do now is send you over to the replays, where you can go and see how it handles for yourself, and then watch how it handles both guns. I'm going to show you both guns, 4 replays, 2 in each, so that you get to see this gun. And like I say, wait for this community challenge to finish here. You can see it here, 17 million, and then we'll be able to get 50% off on this tank. Wait for the discount. That is the big thing I'm trying to hammer in, okay? Do not just jump the gun and buy it, okay? Wait for the discount if you want to buy this vehicle. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to send you into the replays because I've talked far too much at this section, and let you see how that handles. So I'll see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the Rogal Dorn, and this first two replays that you are going to see is with the double barrel, which you can see here. It works exactly the same as the other double barrels in the game, like the IS Desmond 2.2, the Object 703-2, the IS-3-2, the ST-2, you know, those double barrels. It works exactly the same. If you want to fire the double shot, press left on the D-pad or whatever controller you're using. It might be different for depending on your controller scheme, but for me, I have to press left on the D-pad, and thus I will be able to fire both guns at the same time. The problem with firing both guns at the same time in the Rogal Dorn is that your reload is pretty long for these double barrels, so it does really hurt your DPM, but it's damn handy when you need to kill something or you only feel like you're going to get a chance to fire the two shots, right? Also, great driving me. So, yeah, I did forget to show you the double barrel with the food on it as well, because I didn't realise I hadn't clicked the food. But you do have an 11.67 second reload without boosting, which is, like I say, 2.5k DPM, which is not too bad. But as you can see, it's 2.5k DPM and you've got two guns. But I feel like with the 2.9k DPM that the other gun has, as well as an autoloader, I do feel like it is a lot more deadly. But the double barrel is so satisfying for stuff like that. Hello, Mr. Waffly 100. 900 damage in one go. We're reloaded to go again. We put the shot down range towards that Waffly 100, and sadly, it misses. Because this gun is a little... I felt like when I used it and when I've been playing it, this double barrel is actually a little bit more derpy than the 700 Alpha gun. The shells just seem to vary where, you know, there's a bit of variety in where the shells go as opposed to the 700 Alpha gun, which actually felt really quite reliable in where I was firing. This gun felt like it did put shots out in random places sometimes, but it's still fairly accurate for what it is, as you've just seen us hit the cupola there of the TS-60, and you can just keep the rounds flying. So we're going for the cupola of him again. This time it flies low and hits his turret front, so it bounces, and yeah, 232 pen on this standard AP round is low. It's just the same as the Lehman Russ, right? It is low, and that's where it is a little bit awkward compared to the Lehman Russ, right? Because you don't have the best reload in the universe, so when you switch to the premium APCR, it's just a bit awkward to do it with it, because you've then got to suffer a bit of a long reload. But this armor does help you hold out as well. We've just blocked the Death Star's AP round there, just trying to see if we can shut down this AVRE, because we always want to get rid of those things out of the game. Aiming for his lower plate, and the shot flies through straight in and gets rid of him. We're up to 2.7k damage with 409 assistance. I'm wondering where to go now. So there's the M48 120mm. We try and get the shot in on the move. Sadly, we don't penetrate his side, but we did track him because he managed to pull back. He drives over, slaps the shot straight into the lower plate, and we are down to 1600 hit points. We see the projector 65, and this is like, let's see if we can hit him. That shell looked like it might have hit him, but it didn't, clearly, because we didn't get any damage. He's spotted up again. We're aiming the shot in. As you can see, because we don't move very fast and the dispersions on the move and during rotation are actually pretty good, the gun really isn't blooming out that much. This is without the gun stabilizer, so it basically just doesn't bloom. If you run the gun stabilizer, naturally you're basically always aimed. So it's down to you and how you want to play the tank and how you feel it. I just feel like the track traverse is so bad, I really want to help it out if I can. That's why I run the traction system over it, because I feel like I can bear the gun handling without the gun stabilizer. But if you want to have absolutely perfect gun handling, run the gun stabilizer. It's down to your personal preference. You can see it doesn't seem that bad at all, even from movement, in terms of that. So we're up to 3.9k damage with 419 assistance. There's only 4 tanks left on the enemy team, and we are going after this Death Star. But I'm looking at it going, oh, I'm not going to get near this guy, I don't think, because we are just too slow. You've just seen us turn there, 21 degrees a second track traverses. It's very slow. This tank is slow. You can see we're on a flat now, and we're only doing about 18 kilometers an hour. And we want to turn now to try and get towards where that medium tank over there is. You can see the mobility is very, very slow because, like I say, it is a super heavy tank. It's got pretty good armor, but like I say, it's pretty prone to the premium spam. It's got pretty good armor. It's got a honkingly slapping gun in the other one, and you've got the double barrel ability to probably put in 1,000 hit points of a shot in one go. But the problem is, naturally, it does like to bounce, so you got that, bear that in mind. And yeah, that means your mobility is very, very slow. So we finished that first game with a 3.9k damage, 419 assistance with the second class and the 14 well, 1323 base XP, sorry. Fairly average game there for the Rogal Dorn. You can see the armor where we got penned, you know, people that actually aimed went straight to the lower plate, and we just managed to keep dishing out the damage with that double barrel. But it is just, I almost feel like when I'm using the double barrel on this tank, it's a little bit slow and lethargic in the fact that I do really truly have to aim to make sure I'm going to hit the right spot with the 232 pen, because it is a little bit low. And then, because the intraclip reload on that double barrel is, I think it's a 5-second lockout possibly, which then paired with the actual fact that the other reload is pretty long, it just feels like you're putting out damage consistently, but fairly slowly. When you're using the other gun, and you're going to see it, once you start to dish out damage, it just feels like you're flying through them. And that's what I'm trying to get over, is this one actually, to be honest, I feel like the other one is a little bit more unbalanced. I feel like that, I don't want to say it's overpowered, because I never want to say that naturally on the first day of having a tank, because that's always harsh, but I feel like as a combination it's a little bit too strong. But this double barrel doesn't feel too bad, and yeah, I do feel like it is just the worst combination, right? So we're on the second replay, and the second replay again, double barrel. We are on Rosenai, and what we're going to do on Rosenai is go towards the castle. But what we're suffering from is a severe lack of team, which means that if they have the numbers here, it could go quite badly for us. A lot of our team's gone up north, and once again, because it's so slow, you can see we're going at 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 18, 19, right? We're going at those sorts of speeds. We're not going at 25, we're not going at 30, not going at the 33 top speed we got with the traction system. We're going at like very, very slow speeds, which means that if you pick a flank and that flank goes badly, you're not relocating. I'm afraid it's not going to happen. Just like any other super heavy, it's very much like playing a mouse, like playing an E100. And that's where I say if you like playing tanks like the E100 mouse, you'll probably enjoy this tank. But if you don't, and you don't enjoy slow tanks, this is not going to be the one for you. So there is an Object 140 directly behind us. There is an Object 140 directly behind us, which is not good, because that means it's going to be easy for him to get shots at us. There's a Wraith in front of us, and there's tanks on the left, spotted at H3. I was just trying to get some shots into this Wraith, because I kind of want to get rid of the tank on the right. We take a hit on the left from another tank, which is a Super Conqueror. We did get a shot into the Wraith. We go for the tracking shot on the Conqueror. He bounces. The ST1 is firing HE because he's stock, and to be honest, even firing premium from his stock gun, he will pen the lower plate if he aims for the higher section, like I say, but it's an awkward shot. And we've realised, oh, this is not good. They are starting to come after us. There's a Nemesis on the enemy team. We put a shot into his drive wheel to track him in place. Thankfully, because we were angled and pulling back, he bounces. And we're just pulled back into a more defensive location because we can't stay there. We're getting shot in the side and rear by an Object 140 and a TS60 now, so we can't just stay there. The 140 goes straight through the lower plate. The TS60 goes straight through the lower plate. The TS60 is firing heat. The 140 was firing APCR. And we are just having to be very, very careful with what we're doing. I'm trying to cover this Conqueror as much as I humanly can do. I can't do anything about the Wraith, but maybe I can about the Super Conqueror. So we go for the double barrel on the Super Conqueror. One pens. One penned, one bounced, which means we couldn't double tap the Super Conqueror and get rid of him, which is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get rid of that tier 10 heavy tank to help not have my Conqueror lose more hit points, essentially. But unfortunately, we failed. It just didn't work, which is, again, it's a problem with firing the double barrel sometimes because of the variation of where the shells can go, because you've not got the best penetration in the universe. It can just have that effect where you go, yes, I'll double barrel. Oh, it missed. And then you're stuck with a lockout of like 5 seconds before it even starts to reload. And it's just very, very awkward. But this is where it can be nice. We have the 2 shots ready for this ST1. We've put them in. And now I can go up with him to my butt. He's firing HE, so I'm pretty confident he's not going to do much. And we put the shell straight through his turret roof. We have just lost a load of hit points to that 140, though, because we had to turn our turret to attack the ST1. Now the Nemesis is coming after us, or, well, he's just shot and killed the Conqueror that was with us, which is a sad time. But because I've got the rounds coming back in, I feel like, you know, I can double tap this Nemesis if he comes after us. And this is where the double tap is quite nice. It's like, hello, Mr. Nemesis. Double tap, straight through the lower plate, and we finish off the Nemesis for 827 there. It is definitely very nice, just like on all the other double barrel tanks, to have the ability to decide, okay, you know what, I can live with the long reload, but I'm going to smash out nearly 1,000 damage in 2 shells there to finish off a tank so that I don't have the chance of losing more hit points. It's definitely an asset for the tank, but like I say, it can be pretty unreliable. And if I'm honest, like I say, you are more likely to drop the traction system on this build with the double barrel for the gun stabilizer than you are on the other one, because these guns can be a bit more troll, and they really do rely on hitting the right spot. So having the gun stabilizer can be a little bit nicer for this one. But we finished that game with the double barrel with 4.5k damage, 844 assistance, the sniper medal, the steel wall, the second class for 1365 base XP. Another fairly average game there for the Rogal Dorn. Just showing off the double barrel mechanic, just showing off the double barrel version of this tank, just show what it can do and, you know, the strengths and weaknesses of it. But we're on to the the third replay. And the third replay here is with the second build. We've got this, what I want to call is a 150mm cannon, but we don't actually know, and the auto-loading other gun. And as you can see, this gun is pretty nice. We've just put a shot through the T95E6 there, and we are on the new map as well, Liberty Falls, and we're just trying to get into position to get some shots at the T95E6 or the Progetto 65. The T95E6 is firing heat, and I think he hit the cupola on the left, and it got absorbed. It only damaged our viewports. And we're just going to try, and this is a game where I was like, okay, I want to try and see what these guys can do to my armor. So we're going to play very, very aggressively. We've got the cupola of the E5, which our 245 penetration that we've now got on this tank is a lot easier to go through. With 232, we're probably not going to go through the cupola of an E5, but with this gun we probably are. We blind fired the Progetto. We then hit him again with the auto cannon, and we're just trying to hit him again with this gun. He clearly obviously doesn't know yet that we've got a double set of guns, and we managed to put 2 out of 4 on the autoloader into him. An STRV gets spotted. We put the shell straight through the STRV and pull back. He's spotted now for my friends, so I'm hoping my friends will put big shells through him and shut him down, which is what they do, so we get some spotting on that guy as well. We're up to 2.7k damage in less than 2 minutes. Make that 3.5k damage in less than 2 minutes. This is what I'm trying to say this is why I do feel this gun is the best package, because when you get stuck into that brawl, it is phenomenal in the damage output, which is why I say, combined with the 2 cannons, I feel like it's a little bit too strong. I feel like it's a little bit too strong in the damage output arena, because it just shreds, and there's not much in a burst that many of the tanks can actually do against you. So this Progetto 65 is trying to get us, and sadly we missed the shot there. He's going to be a bit of a pest, because I can't really deal with these guys too well without going for him. The Conqueror in front of us, who is stock, manages to penetrate through the lower plate, and I'm just waiting for the shots towards this Progetto 65. I need to get rid of him before I can even think about going for the Conqueror or the E5 reliably. We try and get a shot into the Conqueror's turret, into his cupola, but sadly it doesn't go anywhere near. And again, we switched to the auto cannon because I'm like, I want to get this Progetto. So I'll pop with blind fire because I think, is he in that bush? Maybe he's in that bush. I get detected again. I'm like, yeah, okay, he's in that bush, right? No? Was that the Conqueror spotting us? I don't know. You know, I'm really preoccupied with getting rid of that Progetto because I really want to get rid of him. I feel like he's still going to be up there. And again, he's stopping my progression along this flank. So the E5's still sitting there. And I'm like, Mr. E5, I want you gone. So we poke over, pop the shot in, get rid of the E5 through his cupola. The Progetto 65 has come back. The Conqueror manages to pen us in the lower plate again. We're down to 449 hit points, which means we're getting very, very low on hit points. I've got to be careful now. And once again, I'm still preoccupied with the Progetto 65. We've blocked 4,600 damage with 3.6k damage done and 1,658 assistance. This Conqueror has been a pain, but again, I want to get rid of that Progetto. So we're going to pop a blind fire. And he just drives into it. That was bad timing for that Progetto 65. That was very unlucky from that guy. He literally just drove into that bush as I fired, and it's like, well, there we go. We can now go after the Conqueror. We put one shot into him, and now we can finish him off with the auto cannon. And we're up to 4.4k damage with that 1658 assistance. But this is where one of the downsides of the Rogal Dorn comes in, and that is its mobility again. You can see, very much so, it is very slow. And now the fight is on the other side of the map. There's 4 tanks left. Am I going to get there? No. No, I'm not. Simple as. Realistically, I'm not going to get there. And obviously, that is the problem with any other super heavy, is the fact that if you get this thing stuck into the brawl, it is super deadly. But you've got to get to the brawl. And that is a conundrum for any other sort of super heavy in reality, right? And every other super heavy in the game, is that they go, yes, I love it when I'm in the brawl, but I've got to get there. Say if I'd done this on Liberty Falls and gone down the 8-9 line and found absolutely nobody, I would have been driving for most of the game. I probably would have missed all the damage, or my team would have got fully destroyed. I went down the 8-9 line on this map purely because I spawned there, and because of how slow we are, I didn't want to just traipse along to the 1-2 line, because I felt, again, I was going to spend most of my game driving, getting there, and it was probably going to pass us by, and that's why I went to the 9 line. And it's that sort of conundrum that you have with the super heavies of being in the right place at the right time. And if you are in the right place at the right time, you've already seen how deadly this gun can be. So we've got the victory in that game. We've finished with the 3 kills, 4.4k damage, 1658 assistance, the 4.6k blocked, the first class, the steel wall, with 1531 base XP. A pretty good game there for the Rogal Dorn. And yeah, like I say, this tank is one of those where the armor on it is really good. You will get a lot of very troll bouncers on it. But I think once people learn to play against it naturally, and people realise exactly where to shoot it, and especially when people start to load the premium rounds, that's where the armour starts to fall apart very quickly, and then you're left with a very slow tank, but that is absolutely deadly, which is where I feel like, because the damage output on this main cannon with the autoloader is super deadly, and I do feel like it is too strong, that's sometimes where you go, well, it is a slow tank, it is super heavy armoured, but premium span does start to just absolutely shred the poor thing. So there's going to be some games where if it was slower in terms of its damage output, it wouldn't be really that good, right? So it's that hard balancing aspect of it. But yes, I do think that it is just a little bit too good on this gun choice. But anyway, we're on Thiepval Ridge. And on Thiepval Ridge, we are going to go to H3. I want to go to H3 because I feel like heavy tanks are going to get there and they're going to brawl. You're seeing, again, how slow this vehicle is. It is very slow. I need to drill that into you. It is a super heavy tank. If you don't like slow tanks, you will not like this tank because it is so slow. And again, you have the pain of being any sort of other kind of super heavy that sometimes all you can do is literally watch the game vanish in front of you. So we fire on the move there at the 705A. It flies straight into his lower plate because, like I say, the gun handling on this big cannon is actually really good. And it feels even better than the statistics say it is. It is a very, very nice gun. And it is pretty damn effective at what it does. So we got that shot straight through the lower plate of the 705A. Again, if we were using the double barrel there and firing standard, we might not have actually penned that 705A, so the 245 is better. We see the 703? No, the 430 version 2, sorry. We get a big shot through his side, put a shot into his side again with the autocannon because we switched straight to it, and he manages to get away. But if we'd managed to catch that, say we'd tracked that guy on that ridgeline, he would have lost pretty much all of his hit points in the blink of an eye. That's where it starts to go quite badly for most tanks when they get caught out. So we've got the lower plate of the 705A, put the shot straight through, up to 2.3k damage. I'm not going to be able to pen a 705A with my autocannon, even though it's reloading, so naturally I can't use it anyway. But I'm not going to be able to pen that guy with the autocannon, so I'm not going to use it against him. We've loaded premium because I wanted to try out the 332 penetration APCR rounds, sorry. And I know that it's probably going to go through this guy. I wanted to see if it would go through his upper plate, but it didn't. Now we've pulled back, so we've actually bounced the 705A there. Well, we didn't bounce him. He hit our track with a heat round, and thus, naturally, he tracked us, as he would do. So we're going to just go pressure this guy, because we can kill him with one shot now. So we're aiming for his lower plate, put the shot straight through. He hit our tracks again instead of our lower plate, and he managed to bounce. That T10 is stock, and he fired APCR and went through our lower plate. because he's only got 260 pen on his premium AP CR, so he actually managed to pen us in the lower plate there. You saw that. But we put a big, because we're still firing premium, we went straight through the upper plate of that poor T10. Now we've got the E50M. We get hit by something big from the back, and it's like, oh, Mr. TD, that hurt a little bit. The E50M, that shot, okay, we take RNG, we take it. That shot pens the cupola of the E50M. He drives out, we put the shot straight through his turret front, and I realise, oh, I'm still firing APCR. Okay, we'll switch back to AP, we don't need APCR against an E50M. He's bouncing his heat round off our turret front because he's not shooting the cupolas. Like I say, if people start to aim for the cupolas, that's where they'll start to go through. Although you've got to be careful with heat rounds against the cupola because it is still slightly spaced, so heat rounds might just get absorbed, so be careful of that. This E50M is something I want to get rid of before I can go after the Waffle Panzer IV. He drives out. We try and slap the shot straight into his side, but sadly it misses. He fires a heat round straight through our lower plate again, pens it. The Waffle Panzer IV manages to hit our tracks, but we try and fire this autocannon into his side. It misses, and he clearly thought, because again, he doesn't know. People don't know at this point. He clearly thought, oh, he's fired, so I can go out and get a shot into him, and I can aim for the lower plate. But no, because I fired the autocannon, I was actually ready with the big gun, and I put in a big gun shell for 700. And now the C50M is a one-shot for us. In fact, he's just taken a big hit from the heavy tank behind. I'm going to push the tempo. I want to see if I can try and get a shot into this Waffle Panzer IV. But you can see it's a little bit awkward with the gun depression there because I was hitting a little ridge line, it was bobbling up. We take another big hit there from something at the back, and I'm thinking that's either a Griller or a 114 SP2 or something like that. So I've got to be careful. We are finally getting the other shells in, but again, they went straight through our lower plate, which means we've got no hit points. We get lucky that the Ruthless didn't come round and shoot us. We're up to 5.5k damage with 1900 assistance, and we're just chasing after what's left on the enemy team. So I'm aiming up into the distance, so we know there was a TD up there. There it is, it's the 114 SP2. We put the shot in, set him on fire, and then go for the auto loader, because a tank like that's got no armor. We can pen that with 182 penetration, and just like that, we're up to 7069 damage. This is what I'm saying about this tank. It's like you blink, and before you blinked, you've done damage. It just pumps out the damage so quickly. It is unbelievable at how fast it pumps out the damage with this package. That's why I say I do feel this is the best package for the tank. But it depends on, again, it's down to personal preference. I prefer this because the alpha's higher, the gun handling is a little bit better, and I can switch between this and the auto loader, whereas some people might just prefer the double barrel in general, and firing full prem out the double barrel and going for those 1000 alpha double barrel shots because they are very satisfying when they work. It's down to you and your personal preference and how you want to play the tank. But it is really damn solid in the damage output. I do feel like it is, again, one of those tanks, though, that once people will know how to penetrate it by shooting the low plate and the cupola and shooting the side sponsons with premium, I feel like the armor is not going to hold up quite as well as we've seen so far. But that's the end of the fourth replay of this video, I should say. Finished with 7,069 damage, 928 assistance, the steel wall, the high caliber, with 1,629 or 1,626 base XP. A really great game there for the Rogal Dorn. I'd say it's a pretty solid tank. It's a pretty solid super heavy tank. If you like super heavy tanks, you will probably like this vehicle. So as I'm going to drill in again, make sure you wait for the 50% discount from the Community Earn Up Challenge to finish, and then you'll be able to get this tank for about 11,000 gold. Wait for that. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Great success!